Well, Iran has launched their retaliation for US strikes against them, firing missile attacks at American military bases in Qatar and Iraq. The Trump administration says it was anticipating a response from Iran, but that initial assessments of the attack show they didn't hit their targets. A number of countries in the Middle East have shut down their airspace amid warnings of an imminent attack. For their take, let's bring in Daily Telegraph journalist James Willis and the founding director of Western Sydney Women, Amanda Rose. Morning to you, James. We were expecting retaliation. Do you think this is kind of the world we live in now?
Well, I think we can just hope that this was a one-off, and in fairness, Iran could have gone a lot harder in its retaliation. They have the military capabilities to do that. Donald Trump's described it as very weak this morning. The countries where these air bases are based were apparently given a heads up. There's no casualties, as we understand. So at this point in time, I think we can just pray that that is a one-off. The two issues for us are the idea of the terror threat here, and there's been concerns about potential retaliation attacks from sleeper cells. The Americans have spoken about that. I think it's an issue in Australia as well. What does it mean for our overall national security threat? And the other thing is the Prime Minister's response. And yesterday I thought Anthony Albanese was so wishy-washy on this and sort of ticking a box to say this is where we stand, but we're going to stay out of it from this point in time. If this continues, he cannot afford to do that, and he needs to get on the front foot and decide once and for all whether we're with the US, as we have been for decades, or if Australia is taking another approach.
What do you think, Amanda? First of all, could this just be a one-off from Iran? Would that be all they will do?
Well, I don't think antagonising them, as Trump has done, is helping by saying it was a weak attack. He was actually kind of mocking them, saying, you know, your retaliation to my unprovoked bombing of your country is weak. So he's antagonising the situation. It even sounds like he's trying to push them to do more so he can justify going to war, which it looks like he's always wanted and he's lied about. He got elected on the platform of, I don't want war, I'm a man of peace. And within, 6 months, there's essentially nearly World War III. My concern is obviously Australia, right? And I agree that Albanese needs to come out strong. He needs to let us know, the people know, this is what we're doing, this is how we're protecting you. They shouldn't just support the US simply because they've supported the US before. They can say, yes, we have an alliance with the US, but we don't agree with what Donald Trump has done. It is okay to actually say that.
Can we say that?
Well, you should if you don't agree with it.
I don't think you can.
Well, no, I think you can, but you'd require a spine to do that, and you would also require good defence.
It doesn't work that way. You can't pick and choose your moment to be in support with your allies.
He hasn't shown support at all, or not against, for the past how many years?
Who?
Albanese.
No, but this is the Australian alliance. This goes back before Albanese goes back
just because you have an alliance doesn't mean you agree with someone bombing a country for no reason.
But it works both ways, because if Australia's in trouble and if Australia's ever under threat, we would expect America and the UK to come to our aid.
Well, maybe we need to build alliances with other people, because we cannot have an alliance with a leader of a country who is so unstable that not only does he bomb another country, he then provokes them when they retaliate.
OK, so if it's not America, then who?
Well, ask Albanese. That's his job. That's why we vote him in for, right?
No, but at this stage, that's on the table. So if it is not America,
maybe if Albanese had that conversation with Trump and actually had a relationship with him, he could say, we don't agree with this. This is our position. But he hasn't. He hasn't spoken to him. He hasn't done anything. We're sitting ducks in Australia. We have no defence strategy. There's no one defending us from our leader's perspective. And then we just say, oh, no, we support USA.
Which is why, if it ever came to it, we would need the United States and the UK to come to our aid.
What a sad state of affairs that Australia doesn't have a strong enough defence that we actually have to rely on a country that
we never have, though. We never have.
No,
for decades and decades, the US has been our big daddy.
It has.
We need that.
It's just
on the point of whether you like it or not, the US going into Iran, they were in breach of the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty only just before that. They'd breached it, so that is the reason that Trump would give.
But don't forget...
It wasn't for no reason at all.
No, but what they're saying is that we don't want Iran to have nuclear weapons. However, Russia, China, Israel, America can have them. Even America, who's got a track record of lying about the weapons of mass destruction in order to enter a country to bomb them. So they don't have a history of being honest about starting war. They've got nuclear weapons, but other people can't have them. It's the hypocrisy.
Sorry, Nat. In this case, there was intelligence that Iran could have been weeks away from using...
They've been saying that for 30 years.
Yeah, but hold on. I think, in
It's
fairness,
been said for 30 years. We're weeks away, we're months away, we're weeks away. Finally, Trump comes in and action happens.
Whose side are you on here, honestly?
The innocent people that are going to be killed if there's a World War III.
OK, one of these organisations, one of these countries could have been weeks away from using nuclear weapons.
So they've been saying that for 30 years.
If there was intelligence of that, then America has to act. It's as simple as that.
Tulsi Gabbard said 8 weeks before that there wasn't, and she works for Trump.
So if we're against America on that, then we're in favour of Iran.
And he said she was wrong. Look, thank you. Great discussion, because this is happening in homes across Australia. And, you know, in the meantime, flights that Australians are on are being diverted right now around the world. It is affecting us, and it may in the weeks and months to come. Thank you both. We'll see you next week. Here's Sheva.